Jose Medina, and I run a sales team in Canton in the Stark and Summit County, and then we have an expansion team in the Cleveland, we'll say Northeastern Ohio market. Between the two teams, last year we did 1,050 transactions. Each agent on our team does about 30 to 40 transactions is about the average. And Nikki is a big part of that. She wears a couple of different hats. So Nikki, I'll let you introduce yourself. Tell our wonderful attendees who you are and what you do.
Sure. So first of all, thanks for everyone being here. Hopefully this is helpful to all of you. My name is Nikki Horvath. I am a buyer's agent on the Jose Medina team. I started in real estate. This is my 6th year. I also train all of our impact agents. So I hire them, I mentor them, train them, coach them through their real estate careers. I think that sums it up.
So Nikki, you're being modest. Nikki, her first year, so your first 12 months in the business as a buyer agent, you did 31.
31. I had moved
Okay.
here from Arizona. I didn't know a single soul. I didn't know where the gas station was. I'd never driven in snow. Our houses are completely different in Arizona. And when I met Jose, I told him I would clean toilets if he would please let me join the team. And he agreed. And my first year I sold 31 houses. And it wasn't anything to do with me. It had everything to do with the team.
So being put in the right situation to succeed, getting the right leads, getting the right training, all of that stuff is kind of what got you there. So on a yearly basis, you're selling anywhere between 40 to 50 houses yourself, as well as training our expansion agents to go out and do the same, right? To be a productive agent.
Exactly right. Yep.
Yeah.
I feel like this team has completely changed my life, and helping other agents get to where I am is the goal.
Cool. And the reason I want to make sure that everyone hears that is because I think a lot of trainings that we hear either from coaches or from even other teams, it's go do this, but I'm not doing it on a daily basis. And kind of what we're going to be talking about today is going to be what Nikki sees on a regular basis with buyers and how she's winning in today's market. And then what I'm seeing on the listing side, because I'm still very active in sales. And I have a listing appointment at 1:30 that hopefully I'll get to on time. So it's real life in the trenches, tactics, techniques for people to succeed. Not from a book, but reality of what we're seeing in today's market. So, and really what we're going over today is really what everyone's pain point is, which is how do I win with buyers, right? What should I be doing tactically, strategically, on a day-to-day basis with buyers? What should I be saying to them? What should I be doing with offers? How should I be setting expectations? Stuff along those lines that we're hoping that you walk away with a page full of notes that you can go and implement this afternoon in your actual business. So let's get started. What I will say is we want to make this interactive. So if you have questions, you can unmute yourself and interject. You can throw stuff in the chat box. We'll have people monitoring the chat box for questions and we can interject them. So feel free to raise your hand, do whatever you need to do to make this interactive. So, all right, so it's all about buyers. How do we get offers accepted? How do we get buyers to stay in the game? So talk to me about when you first meet with a buyer, when you first talk to a buyer, what are you doing to set expectations? What specifically are you saying to them? How does that look today when it probably has looked completely different 2 years ago, right?
Sure. So typically it's at a showing. Sometimes it's a buyer consultation, but I find that it's most often at showings. I show them the house, get to know them a little bit. And then after the showing, I say, have you guys been watching the market? The answer is, yeah, we have. I mean, this market is something that we've never seen before. And they're like, yeah, these houses, we go to look at them and go to schedule an appointment and they're sold. Yeah, that's what's happening right now. When these houses get listed and they're priced right, they sell within hours. I mean, sometimes they even sell before they actually go live. It's something that we've never seen before. And then I try to talk to them about why in the world would you want to buy in a market like this? Try to find their pain point. What is their motivation? Because I'm constantly going to be going back to what their motivation is. When they start to get tired and start to get worn out and things of that nature, I'm going to go back to, well, you said you guys needed to move by, June, July, August, whatever it is. You said you wanted to get to Florida by the beginning of summer, bringing them back to why they want to buy in a market like this. I'm also, with that question, finding out if they are motivated enough to buy in this market, and if it is something that, because I only have 4 or 5 really hot buyers that I work with at a time. Are they going to be one of them, right? Are they willing to do everything that they have to do in order to get a house in this market?
So before this market that we're in, we categorize buyers as A, B, and C buyers, and the concept was an A buyer is ready to buy right now. A B buyer is, they're probably going to buy in the next 3 months. A C buyer is, we're hoping they're to buy in 6 months. Maybe they have to do something, clean up credit, sell a house, whatever the case is, but their sense of urgency is not there. We've kind of reworked what an A, B, and C buyer is now, right? And so talk to us about how you qualify buyers and the wording and just the whole new concept of what an A, B, and C buyer is.
Sure. So a C buyer in past markets, in this market, someone that's going to buy maybe in the next 6 months, only if a house comes available on that street will I be willing to move. B buyer might have some sort of a time frame. A buyer, ready to go, pre-approved, ready, willing, and able to buy right when we find that perfect house. Right now, we're looking for A+ buyers. So these are buyers that are pre-approved with a lender that we trust. The sense of urgency that they have matches ours. They have a need, a reason to get into a house. They have to buy. Those are the buyers that we need to be looking for right now. All buyers need help, but the A+ buyers are the ones that are winning right now. And those are the ones that need our help right now, right?
Yeah. So are you saying that to the buyer, or are you just trying to figure that out through conversations, through talking with them?
It depends on the buyer. It really does. I mean, different personalities are going to, react differently to wording. I'm more trying to find out, for me and for them as well, do they have the tough skin to win in this market? Because it's tough. It's tough out there. And, the wrong buyer is, I have a buyer right now. She's a past client. Do I want to help her more than anything? She can't buy in this market. She's not going to go over list price. She's a very high C personality, not going to go over list price. She's just not going to do what she's got it. She would never waive inspections. So
yeah, so she's ready and able. She's not willing to buy in today's market.
Right. That's right.
Right.
That's right.
And that's how you recategorize. That person's a B, maybe a C client. So you'll service them, you'll help them, you'll drip on them properly, but you don't necessarily drop everything when they want to go look at a house. I mean, you do, but you're going to prioritize your A+ buyers for when you want to go out.
You do, and you also, it's the same concept that we used to have with, I'm not going to work with a buyer that's not pre-approved. I'm not going to take them to a house that they're going to fall absolutely in love with, and I know I can't get it for them, and then they're going to compare every single house after that to that first house. It's the same thing, no different. Certainly I want to service her, but do I want to take her to a house that she's going to fall in love with, knowing that there is no way she can buy that house, or that she's willing to buy that house?
Yeah. And so I would say, just to everyone, there's a skill to that, to be able to say, I care about you, I appreciate you, I want to help you, and be able to deliver that news that, if you're thinking you're going to get 10,000 under list price, you're probably not, right? You're probably paying 10,000 over list price or more, if it's a really nice property and it's a hot property, right? And so there's a skill to be able to deliver that information, but I think it's our job as a realtor, what they're hiring us for is to give them that information. And it's one of those where you got to take your medicine, you got to explain it to them, because if not, it's going to lead to frustration for them, right? if you don't, if you're not upfront with them. Right.
And you have to say it with complete confidence. You can't say it. It's like when you're talking to people about whether or not they're pre-approved. If you go into that conversation and you know, are wimpy about it, they're going to mirror you. You have to go into it with matter of fact. This is the way it is. I don't like it like this. I understand that you don't like it like this either, but this is what people are having to do in order to win in multiples.
Yeah.
I will give you a menu of all of the things that we can do to make our offer as bright and shiny as we can. It's up to you to decide, but you know.
Yeah, I think so now more than ever, especially on the buy side, it is a market of skill and a market of ability that there's a lot of agents that don't have the ability and don't have the skill and they haven't adapted. And your job, our job as Keller Williams agents that are supposed to be the best of the best, is to have that skill and have that ability for the best interest of your buyer, right? And so that's what's going to separate us. I had someone that I went to church with, was working with another agent at another office, not Keller Williams. And she reached out to me after 2 or 3 months of looking at houses and losing out on houses and said, you know, I want to use your team. I'm talking about Abby, if you don't know. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I want to use your team because I've lost so many houses. And within 2 weeks, you had Abby and Josh. Yeah. Yeah. And so it is that the agents that have the high sense of urgency that can advise their clients right are the ones that are winning. So this may sound elementary, but pre-approved buyers, like that seems like a common sense thing. And yet on the listing side, it's surprising how many times I have to ask agents, can you send me a pre-approval letter? So like that's the first thing that we're talking about, right? Like there's no more, I'll get pre-approved when I find the right house, right? It's get pre-approved day one, right?
Yeah, and when you have difficulty with talking about that to a buyer, the best way to describe it is, we're going to find the perfect house on Friday night at 7:30. And what are we going to do how are we going to get pre-approved? We know that we can get them pre-approved Friday night at 7:30, but they don't know that.
Right. So let's transition into like setting expectations. So, I mean, what is the expectation? Are you telling them, look, you're going to have to pay 5% over list price, 10% over list price? What do you tell? Are you telling them you're gonna have to write 7 offers? Or are you telling them, I mean, what's the wording to properly set them up so they're not disappointed? They're going to be disappointed.
They're going to be disappointed. I constantly use stories. Listen, I'm showing them the house, and there's 4 people outside waiting to get in, right? Oh my gosh, this place is a madhouse. It's probably going to go in multiple offers and well over list price. Well, what do you mean by that? Well, I mean, I'm writing offers $5, $10, $15, $20, $40,000 over list price, and sometimes I'm not winning. So when they're pre-approved up to 200, we're not looking at houses at 200, not unless they've been listed for a very, very long time, which is 7 days. We're looking at houses in like the 160, 175 range, explaining to them that list price doesn't mean anything at all. It means nothing. It is a number to entice you to come to the house. It has nothing to do with how much it's going to sell for.
So are you saying like 10 to maybe even 20% under their pre-approval is what you're looking at houses for?
Yep. Depending on the area.
Okay. Yeah. And I mean, so someone's pre-approved up to 200, they send you one that's just listed at 199 that's coming soon. What's the conversation?
We can go and look at it if you want. And I'm pretty confident that it's going to go well over list price. And I don't want you guys to fall in love with that house and we can't get it.
So you'll show it to them.
I will. I'm going to push back a little bit. And most of the time when I say I'll show it to you, under the understanding that if you guys fall in love with it and I can't get it for you, you're not going to be mad at me. Because this was your idea, not mine.
Right.
And then they'll say, yeah, you're right. We probably shouldn't go look at it.
And that conversation changes if that house hits the market 199 and it's 5 days on the market. right? Now that constantly changes.
I put an alert in my phone, literally. Check on 123 Main Street on Friday. So Friday morning pops up, it's in my calendar. If that house is still on the market, 5 days, 7 days, whatever, let's go look. Let's go look right now.
Because that's a script, right? Like, hey, we can go look at it now. We can go compete with all the other people that are going to be looking at it. Or we can wait for 5 days, see if it has went under contract. And then if all the crazies have went away and there's no offers, now we go look at it and we're in that second wave of activity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This way you're telling them you can do it. I'm happy to show it to you. Or here's another approach, right?
Yes.
Yeah. People like options, and I don't think they necessarily want to hear, no, you can't go see it, or I don't think we should go see it. They want to know that they can, and here's what may happen, or here's another strategy as well, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And again, coming from, when I get a client, I immediately put them in my family box. So I'm going to treat these people like they're my family, and I'm not going to let them get hurt. Yeah. So you have that mindset. You're always coming from a point of I care about you. I'm protecting you. I don't want you to get hurt out there. We'll do what you want, but I want you to understand what could happen if we do it. And then when you do it, it's not your fault.
Right. Because so let's talk the difference, because this is an important, like, bigger part of this. The difference between being a salesperson and the person that is consulting them through the process. And here's the difference is the part of the sell as a buyer agent, the part of the sell that you're having to do is selling them on using you.
That's right.
Right. That's the sell that happens in this process. The sell is not me selling them on a house. No. Right. The sell is, you want to use my services. Here's the reason why you want to use my services. Here's why I can get you better results than the other 80,000 agents out there that we're competing against.
Right.
That's the sell. The consulting, once you have that relationship and you have that agreement that you're working together, now you transition into a consultant. This house is overpriced. This house has these foundation issues. This is what I think that's best for you. All of those things happen as a consultant, not as a salesperson, right? So you're taking off the one hat and you're putting on the other one.
Yeah. I hate it when people call me a salesperson.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to sell. I'm helping you.
Yeah. So do you ever tell people it's like not a good time for them to buy? Like,
yeah.
Are you talking people out of competing in this market?
I do. If they don't have the personality for it, I'm in this for the next 40 years. I'll be here when you're ready. I want it to be the right time for you. This is not the right time for you.
So who are the people that it's not the right time for?
People that aren't willing to do what buyers have to do in this market. People that aren't willing to waive inspections, people that aren't willing to go over list price, people that aren't willing to, give the sellers 60 days possession after closing. Those aren't the right buyers in this market.
Right.
You're going to ruin that relationship. I make a lot more money off relationships that I build than commission.
Yeah.
All day long.
Yeah.
I care about the relationship much more than I care about the sale.
It's almost one of those things where I'd rather turn you down now than let you down later, right? Mm-hmm. Rather turn you down and roll up front with you now than us waste 6 months of everyone's life for you to be disappointed and not ever send me a referral because you're disappointed with the process, right? So it's our job to be upfront with them. You can do it with tact and you can do it with grace, but I think that you need to definitely be upfront with them. Sure. If you go back to the shift book, right now is just completely on its head. In the shift book, it says you have to sort through all these sellers to find the motivated, ready, willing, and able sellers that can actually sell right now and can actually put their house on the market and have the stomach to sell for that price. That's in the shift book. It's just flipped on its head with buyers right now, right? Someone who has a stomach to do what we're talking about. Okay, so someone asked in the chat, what about C buyers, right? So for those that don't know on the call what a C buyer is, think of your favorite engineer, your favorite accountant, your favorite person that wants every detail, talks about price per square foot, makes decisions very slow, right? Those are your C personality profiles. How are those people surviving in today's market, and are they buying, or are they not buying, or what?
They are buying. There's not as many of them when they realize what they will have to do in order to buy. They tend to drop out a little bit. They just, in this market, you have 14 minutes at the house for them to decide whether they want to buy this $300,000 house that they've barely been in. See personality, they want to go back there 12 times before they sit down and read through the contract and make sure the terms are okay with them and talk about it, multiple times. They're out. So, I found that really the only way to get them to understand it, they have to lose a few times. And if they're a C buyer that has to buy, they're going to have to get on board.
Yeah.
They're going to have to get on board. And you can't be afraid to talk to your buyers about what this market looks like. It's not your fault the market's this way. It's your fault if you don't explain it right, but it's not your fault that it's
frozen. Okay. What was that? Can you repeat that last part? You were frozen, or I was frozen. Someone's frozen.
I don't even know what I was saying. I think I said, in this market, it's not your fault that it got like this. It's not your fault. It's the market. So you've got to be comfortable with talking to your buyers about what's going on in this market. And one of the ways to do it, people are waiving inspections. Can you even believe that? That's an option right now. It's not something that I would ever suggest, but that's something that people are doing. You never want to be that agent that our agent told us not to get a home inspection.
Right.
You have to be confident enough, and whether it's scripting once a week with somebody at your office, which I highly recommend, scripting with your husband or your wife or your partner, whoever it is, getting comfortable about talking about this market is imperative, because if you get in front of buyers and you flub through this stuff, they're not going to trust you at all.
Yeah. So let's transition into that. Let's transition into the tactical things that we're writing into offers, that we're talking to listing agents about what we're doing. And again, Nikki's going to talk about the buy side of things, and I'm going to tell you on the list side of things what works and what stands out and so forth. And the caveat on all of this is, again, we're a consultant. Our job is to show the buyer, here's all of your options that we can write into a contract. I'm not saying you have to. I'm saying here are options. You, buyer, are deciding which ones are best for you, right? I'm not telling you to waive inspections. I'm telling you waiving inspections may equal a better opportunity for you to get the house. I'm consulting you through that process. So, okay, so talk about offer deadlines. Does it matter? Does it not matter? How do you approach someone puts on the MLS where it's Friday night, you're showing a house, they put on the MLS, offers due by Sunday at 7 o'clock. How are you approaching that Friday after you show the house?
I'm writing the offer Friday after I show the house.
Okay.
And I tell my buyers that deadline doesn't mean anything at all. These houses go coming soon, and they're supposed to be active on Friday. And I get up to show the house on Friday morning, and I get an email from the listing agent that the house is pending. Well, what does that tell you right there? These deadlines don't mean anything. If this seller gets an offer that's cash, $50,000 over list price with no inspections and blah, 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 and there's a deadline on it, they're going to take it. And that deadline doesn't mean anything.
Yep.
Do not read those deadlines and think I can go play golf tomorrow because my offer doesn't need to be in until, there's a sense of urgency that I think, and I don't work with sellers, but if I were a seller, I would think that the person that went and looked at the house and wrote an offer immediately, they want it.
Yeah. And on this, so if you've ever gotten mad at a listing agent because that situation has happened, and on Friday, you get notified that, offers are due on Sunday at 6. You wake up Saturday morning and it's under contract. Here's why that happens is someone else wrote an offer that was too good to wait until Sunday.
Right.
And so the listing agent has a fiduciary duty to the seller to present all offers within a reasonable amount of time. And so I'm going to present the offer and I'm going to advise the seller. And sometimes the seller doesn't take our opinion, our advice into account. And even though we said we want to wait till Sunday, they're going to say, I like that person. They were the first one in, they have the best, whatever it is, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Your job as a buyer agent is to get your offer in as soon as possible.
Right.
You're not doing the fiduciary duty for your client if you're not doing that. Right. So throw those deadlines out the window. And guess what? It could move up and it could move back.
That's right.
And you need to set that.
Seller.
Yeah, you need to set that expectation with with your client, the buyer, up front about that. Okay. So let's go over some of the terms of the offer. What fully best offer, like, are you getting counter offers? How are you telling your client to actually go in at their highest number? Because I'm sure they're saying it's listed at 199. Let's go in at 195. We'll see what they counter at. Yeah.
No, that's not what we need to do. We need to hit the ball the hardest that we can on the first throw, on the first pitch. We got to hit it hard.
Because you may only get one pitch in this.
You only have one shot. They're gonna get multiple offers. They're gonna look at all of them and they're gonna pick the best one. That's what's gonna happen. So our offer has to be the best it can be.
Right. So just to kind of reset from all this, hopefully you can see the passion that Nikki has in this, because I'm imagining that's the same passion that comes out when you're standing in front of a buyer, right? Yeah. You're wanting to help them. You're not wanting a commission check. You're wanting to help them. You're wanting to save them from the heartbreaks that you have seen dozens and dozens of times from people not taking your advice. And that passion comes across that you're there to protect them and you're there to help them through this process. And I think that's really, really important, because if you say the exact same thing as Nikki's saying, but you don't say it with the confidence, that's going to come across. And I can see a couple of newer people on the call, and you're like, well, how am I going to be confident like Nikki? The only way you're going to be confident is by practicing. And that's where she was saying script partners, productivity coaching, whatever the case is, find someone to practice on. Don't practice on live paying clients. Right. So you're telling them up front, write your best offer. You're most likely only going to get one shot.
We're going to get one shot.
Right.
Yep.
All transparency. How often are people not taking that advice? Is it 50-50? Is it most of the time they're doing it? I mean, what do you see? Like,
people listen. I just tell, I tell stories after story after story. I just wrote an offer on a 3-level split in North Canton that should have been 169. It was listed for 260. We went in at 295, gave them the world, and I didn't win. And the house sold for 307. Right. I wasn't even in the top 10. So, they see that story, and then, oh my gosh, yesterday I wrote an offer. Story after story after story is going to get people to understand that you're not making this up. This is not happening to just you. It's happening to, if there's 8 offers, only 1 winner. So that means 7 losers.
Yeah. Yeah. So stories are everything, right?
And they also can give, if you're telling a story that's true, you're telling it with passion, right? It's something that's true to you. So it's not something that you have to remember what you have to say. It's already in your head. It happened to you. So for the newer agents, telling stories, and it doesn't have to be your story.
Right.
It can be other people's stories. Stories are stories, they're happening. These things are happening.
Yeah.
I also think a very important question I had a buyer yesterday, and an appraisal came in low. Asking the buyer, tell me how much you want this house. Our motivation needs to be equal, right? So if you really, really, really want this house, like you're going to die if you don't get it, I need to know that.
But if it's like, I like it,
If
I
it's
don't like it.
let's see what happens. Great. Let's see what happens. Maybe we'll win.
So that trust happens because they see you as a consultant, not a salesperson, right?
Right.
It comes back to that.
Yeah.
Because if they think you just want that information so you can sell me a house,
No.
that's a different conversation versus, look, I want to go to bat for you. If you are fully transparent with me, I can work this the best way possible, right? If you tell me it's 250 is your max, I'm going to do my best to get it for 240 and go to bat for you, but I need to know that, and they need to have that trust in you, right?
Right. I mean, I had a conversation with a buyer the other day. I wrote an offer and it was in multiples, and I didn't feel good about their offer. And so when I don't feel good about the offer and I feel like they can do better, I will have another, hey, let's have a conversation this afternoon about our offer. And then we'll do a huddle again. Is this the best you guys can do? Because I don't think we're going to win.
Right.
I mean, if their face changed while they were in the house and they lit up and they wanted to stay for an hour and they couldn't let go of the handrail or the railing on the stairs, they want the house real bad.
So Maureen asked about escalation clauses. Do we use them? We will definitely get to that. A couple other things I want to hit on though. Listing agents, right? How are you communicating with them? And what are you doing to have your offer stand up out above the 7 other offers that they're getting on that weekend?
So I call them when I'm in the driveway before I'm even leaving. And I ask them, I say, you know, other than purchase, just showed your house on Main Street. It's beautiful, beautiful home. You did such a fantastic job. Marketing, you know, I mean, as much as you can, try to stroke their ego. Tell me what I can do with my offer other than purchase price that will entice your sellers. What do your sellers want? Mm-hmm. Well, you know, they have, they're building, so they need some extra possession time. How much extra possession time do they need? Oh, I don't know, maybe a month or so, or 2 months. How much time do they need? What would they prefer? And then when they tell you what they want, write it down and put it in the offer. So I also ask them, tell me how you want me to write this contract. What title company do you want me to use? Would they prefer a 30-day close versus a 45-day close? You know, we've talked about possession time. Are they sentimental people? How long have they? I try to get as much information out of that agent as I possibly can. And then I end the conversation with, how would you like me to send this to you? How can I make your job easier? I'm sure that this is very stressful for you as well with all these multiple offers. So I'm doing everything that I can to make myself stand out. Yeah.
The one thing on the listing side of things, the one thing I'll say is call is fine. And as you guys know, most of the time you're not going to get the listing agent on the phone, or it may be hard to get them on the phone. What I have seen is call, leave a message, and then text them.
Yep.
Right away. And you can text them the same stuff you were going to ask them. And depending on what their preference is, they'll respond to you that way. But call and text to get that information right away.
And I understand that most of you would probably prefer texting, but I'm telling you, what you get out of the phone call are these nuggets of gold. I got one under contract for a VA buyer 2 weeks ago. The sellers had an autistic son. My buyers did too. So that connection right there, they couldn't know.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have gotten that from a text message.
Right. What about lenders and what you're doing with your lender? Okay, so real quick, let's go back to that one though. It's amazing how many agents don't do any communication with the listing agent prior to setting an offer. I got 3 offers in this weekend on one of my listings, and 2 of them just sent me an email with an offer. Like, it was a dot loop notification. That was it. And guess who won? The other one who gave me the backstory, gave me the information, all of that stuff, right? So making sure that you're in communication as much as you can. I understand there's properties that have 40 offers on it and you're just not going to be able to communicate with the listing agent because they're completely overwhelmed. But as much as you can, do what you can for your buyer to stand out and get in front of that listing agent. It sets you apart from everyone else. Lenders. So what are you having your lenders do to make their what they're bringing to the table like stand out from others?
So I will ask the lender to call, and many times they won't be able to get a hold of the agent because they're overwhelmed with, you know, all of these offers. Both of the lenders that we work with, our preferred lenders, they both have cover letters. One of them did not always have a cover letter, and I kind of went to him and said, we need a cover letter talking about you and how many deals you do per year, and that you're gonna, you know, this is gonna be a smooth transaction, and you know, whatever you want to put on it. But I send over a cover letter about the lender with my offer. I also do a cover letter about myself and our team, so that people that don't know me, because my production level shows up under Jose. So if someone goes to look me up, there's nothing there. So I do a cover letter about myself and how many deals I do per year, and this is going to be a smooth transaction and what have you. Another great thing is to outline your offer when you send the email over. So Mary and Sue are going in at 235.5. That's $30,000 over list price. They're not asking for closing costs. They're waiving inspections. They're giving 60 days possession time. That's helpful.
Yeah. So again, I have some new people on here. If you don't have impressive statistics, use your office.
Yeah.
Use the office that you're working out of and what their statistics are. And those are readily available to you if you ask the right person. So I think even just a simple email from the lender to the listing agent, and you're CC'd as the buyer agent on it, that says, hey, Joe and Sally Smith are amazing buyers. They're pre-approved up to 300. This offers for 230. They have a lot of money down, blah, blah, blah. It's very simple. And if your lender wants your business, they should be willing to do that for you. Okay, so let's talk about inspections, and then we're going to talk about escalation clauses after that. So inspections, you know, it feels like you're not like just real transparent. Like it doesn't feel like you're doing a job as a consultant or protecting your client's interest if you're telling them to waive their inspections, right? I know that there are agents that I've talked to, that I've coached, that have talked and said, I have an issue with this, right? And so talk to me about the conversation that you have around inspections and what you have seen as best practice.
Sure. So one, I'm not telling them to waive inspections. That is not ever going to come out of my mouth. It's an option that they can choose if they feel like it might help them win. You know, I say one of the things that people are doing in this market is they are waiving inspections. Now I'm looking around this house and it is immaculate. They have taken fantastic care of this home. The furnace looks like it's serviced every year. I looked in the refrigerator and it's perfect in there too. These people really care about this house. This house might be one that you would consider waiving inspections. Again, it's not something that I would suggest, but it is something that people are doing in this market. And in this house feels really good to me. If I'm in a house that is like going to be an inspection nightmare, I'm not letting them waive inspections. Like, right. Absolutely not. You know, with waiving inspections, I'm always going to do a well and septic inspection. Like they're not getting out of that one.
Yeah.
But I do, you know, it's a condo that the exterior of the building is covered by the association. There's no basement, you know, those are the types of properties that, you know, I talk a little bit more about waiving inspections.
Right.
And again, you want to get that, why I think you should get a home inspection waiver signed for sure if they're waiving inspections. Right.
You know, the way I look at it is consider it like you're at Subway and you're walking down the line and they're like, do you want lettuce? Do you want tomato? That's your job, is like, do you want an inspection or do you not want an inspection? Here's why you want an inspection. And some of my clients are choosing not to do it. And you're not married to the outcome of what they're saying. Your job is to consult them and give them the information of why it is option to get a home inspection and what you're giving up if you're not getting an inspection, right?
Right.
So I think that agents have to be adaptable to that. And again, we're not recommending that they do that. It's just like, here's a tactic that some buyers have used that make their offer more attractive. Is this of interest to you? Right.
Yeah, it's just like, do you want a home warranty? No. Okay, cool. What about, I mean, moving on.
Right. What about, so other options outside of waiving an inspection is a short time frame, right?
Right.
And I, as a listing side, I love to see that. I love to see 4 or 5 days for the inspection period. Let's get real. The inspectors are not that busy right now because of the market and so many people waiving them. They can probably get you in 4 to 5 days.
Right.
Yeah. Or you should be working with inspectors that can, right? Any other strategies that you've seen as far as waiving inspections or for informational purposes only?
Yeah. So for informational purposes, I feel like listing agents look at that and go, what does that mean? I mean, they're still doing an inspection. So when I'm turning in that addendum stating that the inspection is for informational purposes only, I'm turning in a removal of contingency with that.
Yes.
So I'm checking removed on the ROC and sending that over as well.
Right.
And explaining to the buyer, by signing this, you understand that we're having this inspection just to find out about this house. We are not asking for one single repair because we can't anymore since you've signed this. Making sure that they understand that that's what they're doing. But I think that definitely helps with these, we're doing inspections for informational purposes only, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so let's go into escalation clauses. Troy also had a question about earnest money, non-refundable, et cetera. I have not seen a lot of non-refundable earnest monies. What I will say is because of the way earnest monies are handled locally, I will say, they're really kind of pointless. So why not have your client put down a $5,000 or $10,000 earnest money, right? If it's subject to inspections, it's subject to appraisal, all of that stuff, why not? Right? It makes your offer look better in the seller's eyes. If they can put down a bigger earnest money, they really should be. It's a very simple thing that is going to make them stand out.
Right. I want to add to the inspections. If your client is opting out of your home inspections, I would highly suggest getting a home warranty.
A home warranty, yeah.
Not paid by the seller, paid for by the buyer.
Right. Well, they're saving a couple $100s for inspections. They could pay for a home warranty.
Right.
All right, let's talk about escalation clauses. Nikki and I have different opinions on escalation clauses. Nikki, I'll let you kind of tell your side of the story and what you think.
So I used to be the queen of escalation clauses. I wrote an escalation clause with every offer that I submitted because to me, it felt like an insurance policy. They don't have any other offers now, but they could get another offer between, while we're negotiating. And if they do, my buyer's protected, right? So one, if there's a cash offer, and you do, an escalating factor of $1,000, you're never going to win. That $1,000 means nothing to the seller. If you're an FHA buyer, a VA buyer, and you want to use an escalation clause, that escalating factor needs to be at least $5,000, at least. My other opinion on, and I don't use them in this market at all. My opinion on that is, one, there's so many new agents out there. And I was new at 1.2. I am not saying that that's a bad thing or anything like that. There are so many new agents out there. And I can only imagine a brand new agent getting 14 offers and 4 of them have escalation clauses. They don't know how to read them. They don't know how to work through them. They certainly do not know how to explain them to the seller. So of the 14 offers that they have, the 4 that have escalation clauses, no, we'll just work with it.
I don't know if it's just new agents. I'll just interject. It's not new agents because I've seen it with very experienced agents. I would say there just may not be a level of awareness there for some agents.
You're right. You're right. And again, I might use one on, a very well-known agent in our area. I might throw one in there, but in this market, I just feel like you've got to hit that ball as hard as you can on the first swing. If that, maybe you have a great agent and the seller doesn't want to deal with escalation clauses. They're mad because why didn't they just give us their best offer anyway? I mean, that seems crazy to me. I've just heard too many things about escalation clauses in this market where I'm not using them right now.
Yeah.
And if I am, that escalating factor is going to be 5,500. I'm also telling buyers in this market, if you want to go in at 145, let's go in at 145, 259, or some number over the equal number. So if that escalating factor is 5,000, I'm always thinking that there's another offer out there that's identical to mine. I'm going to go in with that escalating factor being 5,400 or 5,500 or,
right. Yeah. So on the other side of things, on the listing side, I don't have a problem with escalation clauses. I think I'm seeing now more than ever. I think we were very early adopters of escalation clauses. 2-3 years ago, we were teaching on escalation clauses, and actually it probably was too early because most agents didn't know how to use them. Now they're more readily available and people understand them a little bit better. The one problem that you do have with escalation clauses is that you do leave it up to the agent that's handling it, and they may fumble it, they may not do a good job with it, they may not understand it completely. So that is part of the issue with an escalation clause is there's room for interpretation and room for error because of the other agent involved in it, right? So and there's also good parts of it too, right? Because you're not necessarily I think your approach at one time was go in strong and then add an escalation clause on top of that, right? Like if it's 225, go in at 225 and then add an escalation clause up to whatever it is.
Yep.
Okay.
Another thing I want to say with that escalation clause is use an escalation clause. Do not just put it in the contract. Use the escalation clause because that document spells it all out, right? So the other agent has to show you the other bona fide offer that escalated your offer. And you want to see the offer because you want to make sure that they did it right.
And here's, as a seller, like, here's how you take advantage of that agent that doesn't know what they're doing, because they write in, my buyer is willing to go $1,000 higher than the next offer.
Right.
Right.
Well, then they're not taking into account the closing costs and the warranty right.
Yeah. All of that stuff. Or if it's a contingent offer, right? I had one 2 years ago. They're like, we'll pay $5,000 over the next offer. Well, the next offer was like $212, but then they wanted $6,000 in closing costs. So that just got bumped up. We didn't use the 206 number because it wasn't written up properly. We used the 212 number to escalate off of, right? So use the one that's provided by your brokerage because you're doing your buyer an injustice if you're not. The other question when you're talking to a buyer is, or excuse me, a listing agent is, do you want escalation clauses or would you prefer to just have the best offer? I've had agents ask me that, and it's a good question. Are you putting in a deadline to review the offer with the seller or a deadline for response? Typically, if my seller allows that, I will do that. And I'll put it out a day or two. One, to let the agents know, if it's Sunday at 5 is our deadline, you're showing Sunday at 7. I want to give you the opportunity to move it up, or Monday, move it up to Sunday. And then just to let all parties know, hey, this is our deadline. And also the deadline may move, right? Like just based on what the seller's mood is that day.
Yeah, I don't look at a deadline as anything. No.
Okay. Troy, you're asking the buyer's offer, do you put a deadline? That's a good question. Nikki.
Our contract has a spot for that. And yes, I do. I give them 24 hours unless my offer is like mind blowing, 50,000 over list price, cash, blah, 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 then I'll give them till the next day at noon or 10.
Yeah. So what about when it's called for highest and best Sunday at 5 and you're writing on Friday?
I'm doing highest and best on Friday.
Okay. But are you asking for a deadline on Saturday? Are you making your offer only good until Saturday? Or are you extending it out to when they ask for?
It depends on how good the offer is.
Okay.
If I feel like the offer is like too good to be true, because the other thing is you don't want to make this listing agent mad.
Yeah.
Like I told you it was Sunday and you're asking for it Saturday morning and your offer is not even really that great. Like you have to tread really lightly on that one.
Yeah.
Again, if it's a cash offer that is like amazing, that's a different story, but you don't want to come off as demanding or that you didn't read the rules. You didn't, you're not paying attention. You're not a good agent,
It's mostly, they're mostly doing that because I think, am I frozen?
I am.
Okay.
That's amazing.
So they're mostly like, I've had agents present an offer and it's like, I want a response in 4 hours. Like that's my opinion.
It's a bully offer.
Yeah. You're being difficult, and I'm gonna call my seller and say this guy's being difficult. Now, imagine how difficult they're going to be
right
next 30 days to work with.
Yep.
Right. Mm-hmm. So you have to really tread lightly on those. Yeah, that's what they are. They're bully offers, right? Okay. So real quick, we only have a couple minutes left. VA, FHA, these guys need houses too, right?
Right.
What's the approach to working with them?
So it goes back to, I don't want to take you to a house that I can't get you, that I can't help you buy. So I am not showing VA and FHA buyers coming soon houses. They do not belong at a house where there's 45 people and 45 showings that day. Mm-hmm. Now we can go look at it 3 days later. Let's do that for sure. I talk to my VA buyers and my FHA buyers and let them know, in the market that we're in, it's very, very competitive. You're up against conventional and cash offers. I want to find you a house that maybe not everyone else would want. And then you can fix it to be perfectly for you. Right? Might actually get you a deal.
Yeah. The best script for that is the Phil Felt Found script, which is, hey buyer, I understand exactly how you feel. You want to go see that house that goes on the market on Friday. There's going to be 45 showings on it. I've had buyers in the past that have felt that way. And what we have found is that they typically are really outbid, and VA and FHA are not considered in that first day or 2 or 3 on the market. What we found is that actually what's best is 4 or 5 days into it is when we go in and we look at the second wave of activity, and that's when we've had success. Would that be okay with you? Right? It's the Phil Felt Found technique, right? Okay, so we have 5 minutes left. I want to make sure we get to a couple important things. It's a tough market. So Sheila will answer your question. Are you using appraisal gap?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So that conversation with the buyer is, an appraiser could come in here and not think that this property is worth what you think it's worth. How are you going to feel if that happens? I mean, do you really care what someone else's opinion of this house is? No, I don't. Okay. So, I know that you guys are putting 20% down. If the house under appraises by, $5,000, $10,000, are you guys willing? You're still paying the same amount for the house. If our offer is $245 and the appraiser says that it's worth $235, in your mind, it's still worth $245, right? So are you guys willing to come up with that, with like an extra $10,000 to bridge that gap? You're still paying the same amount for the house. Your payments might actually be a little bit lower because you're putting a little bit more down. And then I will do, I'll do it. In the event that the appraisal comes in under value, buyer will come up with up to $10,000 to bridge the gap, or I just remove the contingency altogether. If they have, I had a buyer over the summer it was a $680,000 house and they had $380,000 to put down. We waived, that contingency.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So in the last 3 minutes, it's a tough market. I think agents are getting burned out. I've seen a lot of agents just getting really frustrated. So how are you protecting your mindset? How are you keeping positive? How are you not letting that overflow into the buyers and then you just be a vessel of bad news for them? Like, talk to us about that.
Sure. So it is a hard market. It is very challenging, and I will be the last man standing. So as we go through this market, it's gonna end at some point, and I have sharpened my knives to the point where they can't get any sharper. So we're becoming better agents. You have to remember also that your buyer is going to mirror you. So, you know, going into it with an attitude of we're never going to win, well, they're going to feel that and they're going to get burnt out. And we have to keep going. Like, we are cheerleaders here. We have to keep going. You know, I take a couple minutes every day to read a scripture. I try to, you know, reflect on the previous day and think of what I can do better for my buyers, you know, in the following day. We just have to stay positive and know that once we get through this, we are going to be the best agents that we can possibly be. Right.
Yeah.
We are sharpening our skills, you know, to the point that we never knew possible.
Yeah. I do agree 100% that your buyer matches and mirrors your emotions, your positivity or negativity. So if you are thinking we're never going to get this house, or oh, it's just another offer, it's just another waste of time, they're going to pick up on that.
They are.
I mean, they really are. So bringing the energy, the passion for real estate, the passion for serving people into the conversation is extremely important. The last thing I'll say is this is a market of skill, right? And the skill today looks different than the skill 3 years ago, 2 years ago. So hopefully you had good notes. Hopefully you got some information, good information. Nikki, would you mind putting your information in the chat? Sure. For people so they can connect with you and email you or text you or whatever. But it is definitely a market of skill, and it is an opportunity for us to get better and to serve more people and to help more people. Anything
I have
else?
2 really quick things to say. It's not a seller's market, it's a skill set market, which is kind of what you just said. The other thing with new agents, take the opportunity to reach out to agents that you look up to, agents in your market center, and ask them, can I shadow you? Can I follow you today? Can I go on showings with you? Can we script together? You know, other agents want, especially Keller Williams agents, we all want to make each other better. You know, we're all here for each other to help each other get through this tough market. Don't feel like you're in it alone, because you're not. There's a lot of people that want to help you.
Great. Thank you, Nikki, for your time.
Yep.
All right, guys, have a great day. Good luck out there.
Thank you, everyone.